Hi. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the CyberTank Variety Show FNF Countdown Action Hour, hosted by yours truly. My name's Megan, and I am the artistic director of the Tank. And you are watching CyberTank, or maybe you're just scrolling around in the afternoon. Look, there's one person who found it. All of a sudden, it's probably Colin. I'm sure there's a way to see who it is, but Colin, if it's you, I really appreciate it. Colin's here in the, it's not Colin. Colin is in the back. Colin's in the backstage area right now, helping me coordinate the clips. And yeah, we're going to be here for this hour. The CyberTank Variety Show, which you're watching right now, is here every Tuesday at 4 p.m. on CyberTank. You can watch it for free, and you can see it on Facebook. Or come to the Tank's website and watch. So on the YouTubes. So anyway, so we're going to get started here today. We have, we're going to see some clips from past Fast and Furiouses. If you don't know what FNF is, it is our Tank's long-running short-form program where artists respond to current events. And it's happening still since we've been in quarantine. We've been doing it monthly on CyberTank. So you can see some really great artists responding with short form work that they've made in the last 7 days. So we're going to see a couple of things from the not episode. The first one we're going to look at is Eli Schleicher's A Song for You from FNF 42. And yeah, so enjoy this and more to come. It's still me. But here comes Eli. He'll be here any second. Yeah, this is what it's all about. Really, just spending time together in the internet. Okay, so I'll tell you what we're doing this month while we wait for the clip to come up. If it's going to come up, it'll be fine. So this month we're doing a month-long celebration of FNF because this is the 4-year anniversary of the series. And we thought, well, what a better way to spend the month leading up to the election than to celebrate this series and do a lot of political programming. So this month for the FNF Countdown, we're featuring a variety of politically driven and politically minded programming as we kind of count down the month. And less than a month now, we've got about 3 weeks left. So we started out with the last episode of FNF, and it's going to bookend. Awesome. Thanks, Colin. It's going to bookend with the last episode that's going to be on election night on November 3rd. So I'll keep telling you more about FNF as we keep going. But here we are with A Song for You.
This is a song for John, song for John. Sing it because he's gone, because he's gone. Don't know how, don't know why. Hope somebody cried for John. This is a song for Joe, song for Joe. Sing it to say goodbye, can't say hello. When he went into the ground, hope there was a crowd for Joe. This one's for Jeanette, for Jeanette. Don't have much to say, we never met. Gone is strange, past is odd. Hope there is a God for Jeanette. This one is for Pranab, for Pranab. Wish it weren't so short, but it'll do the job. Don't know what, don't know where. Hope somebody cared for Pranab. This is a song for Jake, song for Jake. Living in a world he didn't make. John is gone, Joe is too. See what Jake will do. Hope that we'll do something too for Jake.
Beautiful. That was Eli Schleicher's A Song for You. That was featured on Fast and Furious FNF episode 42. Whew, beautiful. I'm feeling a little emotional. I'm coming to you live from my bedroom, and it fills my heart to see these beautiful pieces that get made on CyberTank every week. It's really amazing. So thank you for that. So we're going to continue on. This is part of FNF Countdown, which is a month-long programming that we're doing leading up to the election to celebrate the 4-year anniversary of Fast and Furious, which is the Tank's short form series where artists respond to current political events. And so we're seeing a little smattering of FNF projects. And we're also going to have a talk later with Tank board chair and Move On director of campaigns, Justin Krebs, to talk to us and our artists a little bit about what's happening over at Move On in the lead up to the election and things that folks can get involved in. So that's coming up soon, so stay tuned for that. But next up, we have a piece by one of our near and dear artists at the Tank. When the Tank proper is open, can be found hanging out in the office and just generally being part of the family. Travis Emile. This is a piece called Seeds, and this is from FNF 41. So
Hi. 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 Hi.
Today my special guest with me is Bok Choy. This bok choy came from my local food co-op. And as I chopped it, I thought, what if I put it in some water? That wouldn't be so bad now, wouldn't it? Plants love water, they love light. What is this plant telling me? I don't know. Last year for Secret Santa I received this funky veg kit with seeds of a mysterious origin that I just put in soil.
A close look at a leaf shows that it is made of many tiny cells, and some of them appear to be green. Within each green cell are still smaller bodies, and within each body are the green specks that give a leaf its color. One such green speck seen through an electron microscope looks like this. It contains chlorophyll, the green substance essential for food making in a plant. No one knows precisely what role chlorophyll plays when a plant makes food, but no food making can take place without it.
If you could be any funky vegetable, what would it be? For me, I'd like to be sugar snap peas. If you could grow any funky vegetable, what would it be? I'd like to hear from your plants. Click the link in my Instagram bio, @HeyTravisTravis, and send me an audio interview with your plants.
That made me feel very happy. That was Travis Emil Seeds from FNF 41. And that's just to show you two pieces, very different, but we get all kinds of lovely artists, and like it's just so fun. The nights, FNF nights, have always been some of my favorites. My predecessor and also past co-partner, Rosalind Grush, the former co-AD, and just a participant in FNFs, many in FNF, wrote a lovely piece that is up on the Tank's social today, just about FNF and the impetus for it, and kind of why it's important for artists to be talking and making and responding to political and social events. And yeah, it's a lovely throwback, this with all the stress of this month to be thinking about these artists and the work that they make. So thank you, Travis. We'll be talking very soon to our special guest on the CyberTank Variety Show today, Justin Krebs of Move On, to talk to our community of artists about what's happening at Move On and ways that they can get involved if they're not in the lead up to the election, and with some things that are happening in the world. So he'll be up next, but we are going to first hear another piece, Alexandria Thomas's Never Ending. This is from Fast and Furious 42. Again, if you want to see FNFs, you can experience them monthly. The next one will be on November 3rd. You can also participate if you have any desire to make a short form work. Maybe you've been waiting, you've been watching and waiting. You didn't know if you're going to make something for this little square, but you're ready. We accept open submissions. So you can go to the Tank's website, www.thetanknyc.org, and learn all about FNF and how you could submit a short form piece. So, so please check that out, and please submit. So, okay, we're going to see next up, Never Ending.
Never Ending, a response to the headline, Never Ending Police Violence. Never ending, seeming to have no end, seeming to never be able to bend to our will, never able to seal a future some of us can only dream of. Because never ending isn't so far-fetched for those who died without seeing a life free of the chokehold. Wait, speaking of chokehold, did y'all know they set the bar so low? They said they can't go on without placing their hands on on our necks. What's next? I mean, it's not like I can be more perplexed any more than I already am. We need to ban the other side. We need to ban and reunite. I mean, I don't know about you, but I think that it's time to fight the narrative of never ending. It's time to start mending the broken pieces and loose strings, the things that people don't mean. I mean, the fate of how hate consumes the world is in our hands, and we've been letting it slip through our fingers like sand. But man, we let the ignorant be belligerent, and I look around me, and just like our family line, we can't sleep soundly, so we take it to the streets, and I promise y'all, just cause y'all act so tough, we haven't had enough. I mean, the movement is century years old, growing like mold, and it's about time we clean our house. Find that mouse that keeps chewing holes in our walls and beating down the cause, because there is an end. Don't let them send a different message. They aren't unstoppable. They aren't incomparable. I mean, police violence will come to an end because Black Lives Matter is unconquerable.
Great. That was Alexandria Thomas with Never Ending from FNF 42. Amazing. I am going to introduce our special guest for our FNF Action Hour today. Live from homeschool is Justin Krebs, who is the director of campaigns for Move On and also the chair of the Tanks board. So welcome, Justin.
And I'm a big fan of the Fast and Furious, so happy to be part of the FNF Hour.
How's it going today, Justin?
You know, day job one is tracking the Supreme Court fight, thinking about the election that has 21 days left, the early voting and vote by mail and get out the vote operations. Day job two is getting three little kids on Zoom classes that neither they nor we really want them to be on, but better than the alternative, I guess.
Well, thanks for making the time you don't have, and we are totally we totally know that this could get interrupted at any point by a child, and that's perfectly fine. We'll handle it. So you mentioned the Supreme Court and the confirmation hearing that's Senate Judiciary Committee is in right now. Can you talk about what Move On? I don't know what the actions are that Move On is encouraging right now.
Sure. So for those who don't know, Move On is a national organization that does progressive grassroots organizing and campaigning with millions of members around the country, flexing their muscles in a lot of ways, making calls, showing up at events, donating, sharing content, creating content, and being a people-powered engine across a range of issues. So when a big issue like the Supreme Court or the election comes up, we're always part of it. We're not necessarily the leaders. And there are a lot of other groups from NARAL to Demand Justice to Planned Parenthood to the NAACP who are all involved in the Supreme Court fight right now. But our members are certainly part of it as well. And what we really are encouraging folks to do, in addition to making phone calls to push their senators, in addition to signing petitions saying that this is an illegitimate process to begin with, is also, depending on the states they live in, thinking about how the Supreme Court fight ties to the election and ties to the healthcare fight. On all three fronts, Republicans are trying to take away our healthcare. On all three fronts, we have the power to fight to save our healthcare, to stop the Republicans from ramming through a right-wing justice at record speed who will vote to kill the ACA, to stop the Republicans and Trump who are trying to repeal the ACA in Congress, and to stop them as they try to do it through the courts. And all of these stakes are right now. So we're putting out a lot of messaging connected to healthcare, as well as reproductive justice, as well as corporate power, a whole slate of issues that Amy Coney Barrett is not good on, that we deserve better, in addition to the fact that she shouldn't be considered right now anyway.
Great. So can you articulate for, I know a lot of people out there watching have televisions, and they also have phones. So they probably know why the threat of this justice to their lives. But in case they don't, can you really quickly articulate what those are? And secondly, can you tell the average young artist or individual person, because a lot of the narrative is the fight, we can't win, right? So with all the things, actions for people to take, like what can motivate folks to take some action?
Bad guys, both in the real world and in cinema, always want you to believe that you can't win. And if you think it's a fait accompli, if you think it's a done deal, then sure enough, the bad guys will win. And like any good hero movie, when the good guys realize that they can still do it and pull together, that they still have hope and chance, that's actually surprisingly similar to real life. And it's actually what very popularly is being shared about how to stand up to authoritarian governments, which has become a hotter topic in the United States over the last 4 years. If you believe the authoritarian is strong and has all the power, it probably depresses and dispirits you, and you give up. And if you believe and understand that we have the power, that your vote is power, that we are the majority, actually you deprive the authoritarian of the power they want. So across all of these issues, we need to know that we still can make the difference. In the election, no matter what you hear about Trump's refusal to commit to a peaceful transfer of power, no matter what you hear about the post office, no matter what you hear about the insanely long lines in Georgia, the truth is that we are the ones who decide the election, and not Donald Trump and not the right wing. And there are just so many more of us than there are of him. And that's the only thing we need to focus. We can't be hand-wringing about the post office. We can't be caught up and flustered. I mean, of course, we can be outraged when Trump says things like that, but we're not going to get him to apologize for saying that. The only thing we can do with that outrage is turn it into outreach to our communities, relational organizing to get 3 people you know to vote, to make a voting plan. So across all of this, we have the power. And then on the Supreme Court front, that to your question about what's going on and why are there the stakes, very immediately, there is a case coming to the Supreme Court that is seeking to undo the Affordable Care Act, popularly known as Obamacare. Twice, the Supreme Court has ruled by 5-4 in defense of provisions within the ACA. Now, with Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg gone, it's a 4-4 tie. If Amy Coney Barrett, I'm sorry, I've been calling her the wrong name. Amy Coney Barrett gets on the court, with her well-known animosity towards the ACA, it very likely would upend the ACA, could end it. And that means tens of millions of people who have gotten affordable, accessible healthcare would no longer have it. And that's in a case that would be heard literally within months. You look longer term, there are voting rights issues that she's on the wrong side of. And this would cement a 6-3 conservative majority that would make it harder to have the right to vote, make it harder to have free elections, make it harder to counter corporate power. And so whether it's on climate or reproductive justice or prison reform or healthcare or gun violence, the issues that you care about, if they're coming before the Supreme Court, a 6-3 conservative majority will cement the right-wing rulings for decades to come. So that's everything is part of this fight. That's why the Republicans are willing to essentially shoot themselves in the foot for this election. A lot of them are going to lose traction by pushing so hard, but to get her in is such an objective for them. What we can do is make them suffer a political cost for it, and we can also keep talking about abortion rights, Affordable Care Act, climate change, the issues that will be decided by this court that are at stake in this election and that need to be motivating and mobilizing to the voters who matter most. And those are going to be younger voters, people of color, voters who maybe don't turn out every election cycle, maybe voted in 2016 but didn't vote in 2018. Maybe didn't vote in 2016 because they were too young. Those voters are the real swing voters who can make the difference in state after state between a Biden victory and a Trump reelection.
You shared with me a op-ed that your executive director wrote on Medium, and I just wanted to that there's a lot of things to be excited and hopeful about. And I wanted to talk about the you called it relational
Relational organizing.
Yeah. So what can you so getting two other people
Really
to
silly name for a simple concept.
well, it's what we have right now.
Yeah, I know. It almost means nothing more than talking to people you know and getting them out to vote. And that's should be the basis of what we are doing. We're telling our friends, we're telling our parents, we're telling our coworkers. Relational organizing. Relational is a word that just sticks in my mind. I'm like, is that even a real word? I'm not certain. I guess it is. It is now.
Before all the Zooms, you would know if it was or not.
I know. So relational organizing is a real concept, and it basically takes the tried and true notion that you get your people out to vote and backs it with data from social science that shows it really is effective, and that it's common sense, right? Meghan, Finn, or Justin Krebs calling a stranger in Iowa and saying, "Hi, I'm a strange person you don't know. Would you vote?" Well, that has an impact. Texting them has an impact. Knocking on their door has an impact. All of these are different levels of impact, and they've been studied which ones actually help increase voter turnout. And the thing that we can do most of all, especially in a year like this, where you're not going door to door, where you're not expecting strangers to open their door amid the pandemic, where you don't want to put your volunteers at risk, the things that we can do most are reach out to people that are within our reach. They're in our phones, they're in our emails, they're in our lives, and you can get them out to vote. Now, that's a little bit more than simply emailing 100 friends and saying, please, everyone, vote. Okay, that's good. It's a good start. But it's actually like, can you take responsibility and ownership for getting 3 friends to make plans to vote? And by the way, that's not just saying, Meghan, will you vote? It's saying, Meghan, let's make your plan to vote. Are you voting early? Are you voting by mail? Are you voting on the day of the election? Are you voting on the election day? Did you tell work that you're not coming into work? Or did you get childcare to cover because you don't want to bring your child to the polls? The more someone makes a concrete plan, again, whether it's mail, early, or day of, the more they actually follow through that plan, much more than simply saying, yes, I'll vote. And so relational organizing, it's reaching out to those people in your life, talking about the importance of the election to you. Maybe you're persuading them to vote your way. Maybe you're just persuading them to turn out at all because they didn't think it was important. Maybe you're persuading them to make a plan to vote that will really lock them into the act of voting. And by the way, when you get someone else to make a plan to vote, they become an ambassador for voting to others as well. So that's the idea. Maybe it's the conservative family members or the people who watch a little too much Fox News and you're talking about what's at stake for you and your children. Maybe it's folks who say, I don't know, I dislike them both, or I don't think my vote matters. And it's talking them through it. And the programs that we have at Move On aren't just tell 3 people to vote. It actually walks you through ways to do it, helps you figure out what's going to be needed to convince this person. Is this person saying, I don't live in a swing district, I don't care? Is this person saying, Joseph Biden wasn't my first choice? Is this person saying, I don't know, I heard this bad thing? And it helps give you some of the resources and the talking points and the approaches on each of these fronts to ultimately help them make a voting plan.
So can you talk maybe like very anecdotally about the anxiety people have about talking about politics with people and why it's so, and maybe personally, like you're very good at it because it's your job. And I think, you know, when you have the personal stakes in this election, it makes it very easy to call people in Iowa, you know, because you've made this a goal, because it's like, if this is uncomfortable for me, that's fine. It's much less uncomfortable than losing my health insurance or my 4 and 6-year-old losing their health insurance. If, you know, when Amy Coney Barrett does this, you know, so, but for young people and for folks that might have like a little bit discomfort with having that conversation, can you talk about your own experience and yeah, tips, I guess?
Sure. So here's the good news. To win this election, we need to convince people who largely agree with us, both on values and more concretely on politics, to vote, more than we have to convince people who disagree with us that they should agree with us. Both are fine. Let's try to do both. Let's mobilize the people who agree with us and persuade people who disagree. But actually, our theory at Move On is that we're going to win this by mobilizing our side. And so that's a lot more comfortable right off the bat. You're talking to somebody who might say, I don't get why politics is important to me. And then you can talk about what's important to you. And that's an authentic and a real and a welcome conversation, as opposed to talking to someone who says, well, what's important to you isn't important to me. And that's a little bit more confrontational. So that's good news number one. You're talking, if you think of people, you don't need to think of, the moderate Republican you met in college, not sure where they stand on issues now. Like, that's fine too. Start really by thinking about people within your reach who you just don't know are committed to vote yet. So already that's more comfortable. And then if you find people who are hesitant and who are either resistant, don't agree with you on the values, or don't agree with you on the importance of voting, or who might agree with you on a lot of political issues, but say, voting's not going to save us. Look, we vote in New York City and there's still police violence. We vote in New York State and they're still slashing funding for schools. Like, we voted for Democrats and this is what happens. You never should pretend that voting is the only answer. But
Right.
Voting is definitely part of the solutions. We're not going to get what we want without voting, without doing a lot more also. Protesting, advocating, pushing the people we agree with and the people we elect, challenging the people we don't, building organizations, building community, turning that social capital into action. All of that needs to be part of it. But voting is definitely a critical piece. And if, as is often said, if our votes didn't matter, they wouldn't be trying so hard to take them away and to stop us from voting. So to your point, how do you have those uncomfortable conversations? One, make them less uncomfortable. Have them with people you care about. Talk about the things you care about. And two, don't be scared to have your values and your principles. There's no reason to argue, by the way. I mean, arguing can be fun. You're welcome to, like, if you find someone you're never going to convince, have an argument. But if you find yourself arguing with somebody, like getting caught up and vehement, you're not going to convince them. They're too bought into Fox News, or they're too bought into Trump's Twitter feed, and some people are just not going to vote our way. Ideally, you can still walk away with a connection with them. Ideally, you leave them thinking about why you care about the things the way you do. But I would try to avoid the full-on arguments, unless you want to get your blood pumping, unless you want to feel that energy coursing through your brain.
That's going to be what it does. That's going to be what gets you to keep doing the work.
But this is not debate club. Think of this much more as like happy hour than debate club, right? Debate club, you're like trying to score points, get someone caught up in their argument. That's not going to convince anybody. No one trusts the judges or whatever. Think of it as a happy hour. You're finding common ground. You're meeting folks. You're finding the ways into a conversation to draw the conversation further, and that's what you're trying to do.
So if people from the tanks world want to figure out, maybe they've been thinking about trying to get involved, or it's kind of overwhelming right now, honestly. If you haven't started doing phone banking or letter writing or calling your senators, I mean, even calling your senators, they work for you. They work for you. Don't be afraid to call the people that work for them, because they work for you. You're the boss. So I think, but I understand there's a lot of anxiety about getting involved. What can people do? How can they sign up for Move On actions? Like or others, like what should they do if they want to start right now and do something 3 weeks to help with the election?
If you want to start right now, you can go to a page that's moveon.org.
Colin, can you throw that up on the thing?
moveon.org/vote. I chose the easiest of our URLs. And it has on it how you make your own plan to vote. It has on it the rules for voting. It has how you can become a poll worker. It has how you can share fun social content that we believe is motivating. It just has a lot of resources on it. So that's one place to start, moveon.org/vote.
Ooh, pretty.
Then beyond that, you can really decide other. It's like a buffet, and you can decide which flavors you like. And I think the main flavors beyond relational organizing. So that is everyone can do.
Number one, if you're watching right now,
Yep.
come up with 2 people that you're just going to reach out, 3 people you're going to reach out to, make sure they're voting, make sure they have a plan to vote.
Exactly. And if you come to the page I said on Move On, you'll be able to find ways that you can do what's called vote tripling, triple your vote. And that's the concept right there. So just go to, if you go to moveon.org/vote, become a vote tripler. That will help walk you through the vote tripling concept. Now you're just like, you want to do more. I want to do more tonight. I have 2 hours. What can I do? Here's what's in the buffet. There's calling people on the phone, which you may or may not like doing. So like there are phone banks. There are a bunch of sort of progressives for Biden, Harris phone banks that you can take part in. There's texting. So some people some people like being on the phone, right? They're like, if I'm going to do this, I want to hear another human's voice. Some people hate it. Text banking, which you can do through Move On, through the Biden campaign, you could choose a Senate race that you're really excited by. They probably have what's called text banking, where you sit with a tool. You don't actually literally do it from your phone necessarily. You might, but you could also just do it from your laptop. And they give you a tool where you can individually text person after person after person rapid fire. And you get a bunch of responses, and then you follow up with them. And so for people who don't like calling but like clicking, that's a definite option. There's still maybe a week left to do postcarding in a meaningful way. And in order for the postcard, so there have been a whole bunch of projects. Vote Forward is one of them, in which you get to write postcards or write letters to swing state voters. And you have to show the organization that you're actually doing this, and they give you the addresses, and they give you a messaging guidance. And individual handwritten notes to swing state voters are actually also shown to be pretty effective. But again, you have to kind of do that by this weekend in order to get them in the mail in time.
And your hand will hurt. So it's actually good. You feel like really, like when you get done with it, your hand physically hurts. So you feel like, yes, I gave of my.
Yeah. Like I worked with my hands today.
Worked my hands for this election.
Exactly.
And of course, people can donate if they can, if they're in the position to donate to these campaigns. And also down ballot races, I find really, really rewarding, because I'm here and when you get a chance to call for a down ballot race, you learn about a candidate who's going to have a huge local impact, in whatever state, and you get to learn about them, and it's exciting.
So you're even going further down the ballot, but I would say people could also choose the Senate race that they're most excited by. This cycle started out with people saying, are there 3 or 4 Senate seats maybe the Democrats could win? There are actually a dozen Senate seats that are competitive. And if you care about immigration, if you care about reproductive justice, if you care about climate, there are just such clear differences in race after race. And now places like Alaska and Mississippi and Kansas are competitive, as well as North Carolina, Iowa, Maine, Colorado, Arizona. South Carolina is obviously a very exciting one. Jamie Harrison has raised more money in the past quarter than any Senate candidate ever had in any quarter. So most of these campaigns you can text.
I was all me, by the way. Yeah, because Jamie Harrison emails me constantly, and I just can't say no. I can't say no to him.
It is also a reason when as you think about if you're in a position to donate, nothing against Biden and Harris, they are raising a ton of money, and nothing against Jamie Harrison. He has now raised a ton of money.
He now has, right?
So you could think down the list of some of the candidates, even beyond, Sarah Gideon in Maine has a bunch of money. Mark Kelly in Arizona has a bunch of money. It doesn't mean they're going to win, but it does mean that they have the money they need. But then, this Alaska race is kind of interesting and exciting, and is suddenly sort of more competitive. Mississippi is suddenly more competitive. So there are a bunch of races out there. Even just today, the Cook Political Report, one of these revered polling rating agencies, just moved Texas from likely Republican to lean Republicans. That means it's slightly more up in the air. I mean, the notion that John Cornyn is losing ground in Texas should just warm your heart.
I saw a friend that I work with at Every Last One, she today is the first day of early voting in Texas, and she's been online for 3 hours and just showed the whole line. It's like so many people are in line in Texas already to try to vote. And I will say, making your own plan is really important. You know, we were saying for days and days, we were saying, make your plan, and then you're like, well, what's our plan? It can be easy to forget, like, you need to make a plan too. Early voting starts October 24th in New York City. So yeah, find out where your polling place is, and cast your ballot however you're going to do that.
And vote.nyc is should have your most up-to-date info. I just say should because the Board of Elections isn't giving us a whole lot of confidence, but and you dropped a URL in there, but vote.nyc tends to be a place where you can check your registration. Early voting sites are different than your polling location on election day. All the more reason to make, and the making a plan is so real. You can say, oh yeah, I'm going to do it. And then you're like, oh wait, am I bringing the kids with me this year or not? Oh no, I'm not. So now me and my partner are going at different times. The same, like you actually have to make a plan. My plan was to vote by mail, and then I got the wrong ballot in the mail. So now it kind of gives you.
That was so scary when that happened. Well, Colin, our operations manager, who's also backstage here on this live stream, is volunteering as a poll worker, which is that correct, Colin? I'm not misspeaking. That is correct. And so I feel like the Board of Elections is really going to get their stuff together now that Colin is
now that he's there.
Oh, not volunteering, getting paid to do it. Did you hear that? Get paid, folks. So Colin's getting paid to be a poll worker. There you go. And that's a great use of skill. I was thinking about that's Colin's a box office person at the Tank, someone you see in the box office when we're there proper, and now is using those skills for democracy to check people in.
Check them in.
The other night when I was writing all my postcards, it was just like when I was frantically writing thank you notes to like a cast and crew, and I was like, oh, these are my skills but I'm using them for democracy. So if you have some theater-esque skills, you might be able to use them for this election.
And I should also say, speaking of theater, and I don't know the URL offhand for that, so let me see if I can find it. Move On is having a series of Get Out the Vote rallies, virtual rallies, each Sunday night. And this coming Sunday, the cast of Hamilton is going to be on the call doing a Get Out the Vote reunion, and with a special new video. And I guess you'll have to go to moveon.org to find it, because I don't actually know the specific URL to the calls. But if you go to moveon.org, you will find out, and then you can come see the cast of Hamilton.
Great. So go there and sign up. Well, thank you so much, Justin, for joining us. This has been so great. And yeah, here we go.
21 days remaining.
All right. Well, thanks, Justin, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon. Bye. Good luck, everybody.
Bye. Thank you so much to Justin Krebs, Director of Campaigns from Move On, and also the chair of the board at the Tank, and also founder of the Tank, still helping the Tank out. So you've got a lot of really great info about how you can sign up to help out in the election. I'm going to give you a tip, okay? This is my little tip about phone banking, okay? So people don't like to pick up the phone and think it's a telemarketer, right? When you get a telemarketer, you hang up right away. So my trick when I'm doing phone banking, this is the Meghan Finn special. I flub in the first moment. So I say, "Hi, is this Colin?" And then I read the script, like they asked me to. But I do a little flub. And then the person knows that I'm not a pro, and then they believe that I'm a volunteer. So just a little tip, just like in the first millisecond, just like add an or slow it down just a little, just make them think that you're not good at it. And then they take a little pity on you and maybe stay on the phone. And I get to talk to all sorts of voters. It's really fun. It's that old acting thing. Yeah, use a little of your acting. That's another thing, Colin. You're good at checking people in, so you're a poll worker. I'm good at frantically writing notes to my cast and crew. So like writing postcards came naturally to me. If you're an actor, the phones, they are waiting for you. There's a lot of races all over the country that could use your skills and your excellent flubbing in the beginning of the call to keep them on the line. So thanks for tuning into the CyberTank Variety Show. We have one more act for you just to take us out, and then we'll just be gone forever. Oh, yes, of course. Justin is also running for city council in New York City next year. So if you are in District 39, please support him and his campaign. Also, yeah, thanks, Justin, for joining us. It was really, really helpful to talk to a pro organizer right now. And we're going to hear the last hurrah. It's going to, on this CyberTank Variety Show Action Hour, it's going to be a little piece by Emily Gomez, one of our near and dear tank artists who we love and miss. This is called You Have Arrived. It's from FNF 42. And just one last plug, this whole month is at the FNF countdown leading up to the election. We have a bunch of really cool political shows. We have these action hours that are happening every 4 p.m. on Tuesdays, so you can learn how you can get involved and things that are happening around New York. And yeah, and then we have FNF, the next episode of FNF. If you want to participate, go to www.thetanknyc.org and submit your short form work for FNF about politics. The last show is going to be on election night. So when you want to take a break from like watching the crazy New York Times needle or whatever you're frantically watching, tune into FNF, see a bunch of artists freaking out for you. And it's going to be a really fun night. So thanks for joining us for this, and we'll see you back at CyberTank real soon. Emma Gomez.
Turn right in 300 feet. Turn right. 71st Avenue, Continental. I said right. Rerouting. Turn right in 300 feet. That wasn't 300 feet. Rerouting. Rerouting. Turn left on Austin Street. Keep center for 500 feet, then turn right on Booth Street. Turn right on Booth Street. Are you listening to me? Rerouting. Keep right at the fork.
I know.
Would you like to pause me?
No. It's like, I don't know my way around here anyway.
This is your neighborhood.
But these people, I don't know these people. I know it here, but, I know it's my neighborhood. I like having you around.
You don't really need me. Turn left at 67th Road.
You're probably right. Just in case, though, I'm just afraid, I don't actually know where I'm going. Everything is so dangerous. Everything.
Rerouting.
No, I actually think nobody feels safe. Actually nobody. The left doesn't feel safe. The right doesn't feel safe. My rich friend said she's scared of the guillotines. I think the only people who feel safe are people who built bunkers in the 60s.
We just have to get to the election.
And then what? What then?
Turn left on Queens Boulevard.
But what happens after that?
You will arrive at your destination.
But what if it's, not my destination?
You will arrive at your destination.
I guess you're right.
You have arrived.